Welcome to today's Study Hacks video where we'll talk about literature reviews. The literature review is the place most people embark on first when they're just starting out with their Masters by Research or PhD. And it's a really good place to start because by reading widely and getting a feel for the field, you gradually come to increase your own expertise and confidence as a budding expert in your field. However, we all know that reading for the lit review is one thing and actually writing it is another thing entirely. In academic skills, we talk to a lot of higher degree research students about their theses, and the literature review is far and away the most common component of the thesis that students tend to have trouble with. So if you find yourself in this group, you're not alone. And that makes total sense. In effect, what you have is a constellation of voices and ideas that you're trying to align into something linear so that a reader can make sense of it. This can be really challenging, but it is worth investing your energy into this activity because it's through the literature review that you can set your reader up really well to engage with your research contribution. So in this video, we're going to give 3 of our top practical tips for demystifying the literature review writing process. The purpose of the literature review is to articulate the existing knowledge on your particular topic, and in doing so to demonstrate your expertise, to position your work in relation to previous research, effectively to say, this is the conceptual or disciplinary home for my research and against which it should be read. To observe a gap in what has been done before, this is the space that you can operate in and occupy when you're creating your work. And to evaluate and synthesize previous studies and information. So here are some of our top tips when it comes to approaching the literature review. Firstly, consider how to structure the literature review so that it makes sense for your project within your disciplinary context. There are a number of different ways to structure the lit review, and the one that you select will depend both on your specific project and on the broader discourses and ways of doing things within your discipline, or disciplines if it's an interdisciplinary study. For instance, if you're completing a historical study, you might decide to opt for a chronological organization, where the discussion of the research is ordered according to a historical or developmental context. By contrast, you may instead decide to go for a classic studies organization, which is where you start off with the significant or benchmark studies in your field and then move towards more recent contributions. Another very popular way of organizing the literature review is using the topical authormatic approach, which is where the research is divided into sections representing categories or conceptual subjects for your topic. Remember, if you choose to arrange your lit review by topic, you'll still need to make some decisions about the logical ordering of the topics themselves. There's also the inverted pyramid organization, where the literature review begins with a discussion of the related literature from a broad perspective, and then you narrow in with more localized studies that come closer to the specific research question you are setting out to address. When choosing how to order the information, consider how each item in the lit review is helping you to get where you need to go. You may be citing the ideas of these much more experienced authors, perhaps giants in their field, but don't let them push you around. You are in control of this material because this is your work. Our second tip, and on a related point, is that in the literature review, you want to foreground your own authorial voice. For example, consider when to use what we call author prominent citation and when to use instead information prominent citation. Use hedging language wisely, and choose your reporting verbs carefully so that you can express your evaluation of the sources clearly and efficiently. Finally, return to your literature review. The lit review will change over time. It will change when new evidence is published by others that you need to engage with, and it will change as your own concept of your study evolves. You don't want the literature review you wrote in your first year to be the one you submit with your final dissertation. Build a review of the lit review into your project timeline, as it can take some time to bring it up to date. That's all we have time for today. For a more in-depth dialogue about the writing of the literature review, including looking at some examples in practice and the moves you can make to occupy the research gap you've created, please join our Study Hacks live workshop on the literature reviews. This workshop is online and it runs every term. Remember, you can also book into a one-on-one consultation with us in academic skills to discuss your thesis. Happy reviewing!